Good afternoon, Jemima.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Okay, Jemima, can you tell me about yourself?
I am Jemima Saludes Gancino, 23 years of age, single mother, and does have two children.
I have a few questions for you to answer, so let's start. Why do you want to work as a maid?
I want to work as a maid because I find it more, more advantage because it is less in expenses and does have a good salary offer, ma'am.
Why you choose Malaysia when there is a lot of other country?
I find Malaysia as just like a Philippine weather and Philippine time, they are almost the same. And in that case, I don't find, I don't find it hard for me in time and weather, ma'am.
How are you qualified for this job?
I qualified myself for this job, ma'am, because I find myself and I proved it in myself that I can handle, uh, uh, I can perform and I can do the duties of being a domestic worker.
May I know what your educational level is?
College level, ma'am.
What was your recent working experience?
I am a previously bus steward at bus company in our province, ma'am.
Have you worked abroad before?
No, ma'am.
Do you have experience of taking care of baby?
Yes, ma'am.
How about elderly?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any other special skills?
Yes, ma'am.
Like,
Uh, a food and beverage field, ma'am. Sewing, massage therapist.
do you have any other special skills aside from that?
Uh,
That's all?
I also know how I also experience and basic a basic English tutorial, basic mathematics tutorial, and basic science tutorial in my cousins, ma'am.
Okay. Are you willing to learn new skills?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Are you willing to work with a family where the mother-in-law or any relatives stay together?
Yes, ma'am, 100%.
Okay. Currently, are you still working now?
No, ma'am.
Do you know how to cook?
Yes, ma'am.
What
Filipino
sort
food.
of food? Filipino food.
Filipino food only, ma'am.
Okay. Are you aware that you will have to do washing, cleaning, ironing, and cooking?
Yes, ma'am.
From all the house chores that I mentioned to you, which do you like most?
Cleaning, ma'am.
If ever you were selected to work here in Malaysia, who will take care of your kid?
My in-laws and my parents and also my siblings, ma'am.
You are not allowed to use handphone during working hours.
Yes, I understand, ma'am.
You are strictly needed to surrender the handphone to your employer in the morning and your employer will return back to you once you're going to bed.
Yes, I will, ma'am.
If ever your employer finds out that you're abusing of using your handphone and it's affected your work performance, your employer will confiscate your handphone and you are not allowed to hold it anymore.
I agree, ma'am.
Okay, but instead, your employer will allow you to call to your family 3 times in a month. You only allowed to bring normal phone and you are not allowed to bring smartphone. Are you agreed for the terms and condition?
I agree, ma'am.
Are you agreed to the rules and regulation for the handphone?
I agree, ma'am. 100%.
Okay, how many years is the contract? As you agreed and understands.
2 years, ma'am, equivalent to 24 months. And I agree. I understand everything what had been discussed by this conversation, ma'am.
Can you describe for me your attitude?
I have an attitude, ma'am, that is patience. I am trustworthy. I am worth of your trust, and I can prove that to you. I am disciplined and I'm flexible, and I am also dedicated in my job, ma'am.
How can you assure to us that you will work hard in Malaysia?
I can assure it, ma'am. I may can promise it, but I will do it and prove it to you because I don't want you to say that I am only good at promise, but instead I will do everything that I can just to impress you, just to satisfy what you needs me to do in my field of work and as needed, ma'am.
Can you promise not to use the telephone without the permission of your employer?
I promise, ma'am.
Can you promise not to put on makeup but to dress properly while work?
I promise, ma'am.
Can you promise not to invite friends and relatives without the consent of your employer?
I promise, ma'am.
Can you promise not to ask for advance salary from your employer under any circumstances?
I promise, ma'am.
Do you really understand of the rules and regulation of the agency?
Yes, I had understand it and understood it 100%, ma'am.
Okay, do you pay any placement fee for you to come to Malaysia to work as a maid?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any history of sickness, breast cancer, or any other illness?
None, ma'am.
Have you suffered from any serious illness?
No, ma'am.
Do you smoke?
No, ma'am.
Have you undergone any operation?
No, ma'am.
Are you medically fit or are you fit to work?
I am fit to work, ma'am.
Are you allergic with any food?
No, ma'am.
Are you preferred to work for the employer of different races?
Yes, I prefer, ma'am.
Are you preferred to eat the type of food taken or given by your employer?
Yes, ma'am, I prefer.
Are you afraid of being left alone in the house?
No, ma'am.
Are you afraid of dogs or other pets?
No, ma'am.
Can you promise to work according to instruction from your employer?
Yes, I promise, ma'am.
Do you have any family members working in Malaysia?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Jemima, we have finished our question section. Let's go to case study. I have a case study for you and I want you to answer me truthfully.
Yes, ma'am.
Upon arrival in Malaysia within 6 months only, if ever one of your family members passed away, what will you do?
Honestly, ma'am, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna ask for permission if I could go home for even just days or a week just to be with my family in that kind of situation and moment. But if my employer don't allow me, I will not insist. Instead, I will just send money to my family for them to use in that kind of situation, ma'am.
Okay. If in case your employer is watching you right now, what do you want to tell them?
Good afternoon, ma'am or sir. Uh, I am Jemima Gancino, 23 years of age. Please select me, and I can assure you, I may can't promise you, but I can prove you that I am worth your money, I am worth your trust, and I am worth your effort in picking me, selecting me here in my agency.
Okay, thank you very much, Jemima. We will date to your agency if there is any selection by the employer.
Yes, ma'am.